Welcome to another video. I started this one with a few of my more recent images that I took on vacation when we were in Europe. But in this one I'd like to focus on 10 photographers that you may or may not know about. Some of them are on YouTube, some of them aren't. If I were to do my 10 favorite YouTube channel photographers, it would be a completely different list than this particular one. So there are a couple that I'm going to present here that are on YouTube. However, they're really just 10 photographers that I ran across that you may or may not know about, who I think all 10 are just excellent photographers. So the first one I'd like to start with, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I believe she pronounces it Huibo Ho. She's a wonderful photographer. Most of her images are in black and white. They're very minimalistic, a little bit abstract. I believe she immigrated from China maybe 10 years ago. And she's just a wonderful photographer that you may or may not have seen or heard about. So I wanted to start with her, Huibo Ho. The second photographer is a gentleman by the name of Thompson. He has a couple different series that I really like. He works in black and white as well. And this is one of the series that I particularly like that he calls Melting Giants. I mean, he does a wonderful job in black and white. I did email him once or twice, and he did tell me that he takes these images and he just dodges and burns them. That's how he does them. But that's one of the series that I happen to like of his. The other series that he does is one that's called Harbinger that I like. And again, he told me that this is exactly how he saw them. All those clouds were there. He didn't do any photoshopping of putting in the clouds. They were as he saw them. He has many different series. He's just an excellent black and white photographer. He's an excellent photographer overall, but he works in black and white. I believe he told me he uses medium or large format cameras. But you should check him out as well, Thompson. The next photographer is Alex Noriega. This image happens to be one of my favorites of his, probably my favorite of his, in fact. And he has such a wonderful view on light, the way the light hit these mountains. He also does a lot of abstract type images. But you can tell in all his images he's very strong in understanding where the light is coming from and using that to his advantage. But he's another photographer you may or may not have ever seen his work before, but just an outstanding photographer, Alex Noriega. The next photographer is on YouTube, but he doesn't have his own channel. He's on a channel called Photography Online from the UK, and he's one of the contributors to that channel. And his name is McAdam. He works primarily off the Isle of Skye, but around Scotland and around England, and they also do workshops around the world. But I believe his home base is on the Isle of Skye. And he is another one who's just an excellent photographer that I wanted to share with you. So if you get a chance, check out McAdam. Next up is a Dutch photographer. And I apologize to Albert. I'm not sure if he pronounces his last name Dross or Dross. But Albert is also another just outstanding photographer. He has a YouTube channel, but he rarely posts anything. It's been a year or so since he's put one out. He travels around the world as well, but he's mostly out of the Netherlands. And he has very colorful images. He's very good at understanding color and matching his colors. I forget how I ran across him. I don't remember if I ran across him on YouTube or not, but when I looked at his website, I was pretty blown away with all the outstanding images that he had. And having just been to the Netherlands myself, even though I was mostly in Amsterdam, you could see what a beautiful country it is, and Albert does a wonderful job of representing his land. I mean, that's just a beautiful image right there. So check out Albert as well. Next up is a photographer by the name of McAdam. I ran across him when we were all locked down with COVID a couple years back. Ran across his website. And I also heard him on an interview somewhere as well. He really stretches the limits of dynamic range in his images, but again, has a wonderful idea of color and light, and it just shows in his images. He's another one. He puts himself in some of his images, but he's another one that you'd be hard-pressed to find a bad image of his all across his website. McAdam. I think I could do a whole episode on just photographers around North Carolina. Jason Frye is one of them. He just happens to be the one I picked. There are several around that I found in the websites. I happened to be researching areas of where to go photograph in North Carolina at one point, and I ran across several of these photographers. Jason is one of the excellent photographers that I ran across, and it's just amazing how many photographers are out there that people may or may not have ever seen their work, but they're out there. And I think there's probably some North Carolina photographers that would tell you that they would never have to leave the state, and they could just shoot one excellent composition after another. But one of the themes that you can tell with all these photographers is their understanding of light and color. And yes, even the black and white photographers have a wonderful understanding of color. But here's another one. Jason Frye. Check him out. Here's one of the other North Carolina photographers I ran across, Tommy White. Again, I ran across so many of them that were just fantastic photographers up in that area. Tommy was another one that I just happened to pick out. And again, he just has some wonderful images, mostly around North Carolina. And I don't know how well known he is. He may be. But I just thought I would show you a few images off his website as well. Tommy White, another just excellent photographer out of North Carolina. The last two I'm going to end with, both have YouTube channels. Neither one of them put out a lot of videos. This first one here, Mally Davies, he puts out a little bit more than the next photographer that I'm going to show you. They both, I believe, live up near the Lake District in the UK, in England. But their personalities seem to be very different, and their channels are slightly different. Mally is a very outgoing, jovial kind of guy. You could tell he just loves sharing his photography and sharing his knowledge with others. And he's just another excellent photographer. And one thing that I can appreciate with OMalley, there are a lot of outstanding woodlands photographers, especially over in England. I could do a whole video just on those guys with Simon Baxter and Nigel Danson and a few others. But OMalley in particular, when he does his videos, he'll walk out in the woods and he'll see a scene like this, and I'll be looking in the video thinking, oh, how's he going to get an image out of that? And then all of a sudden he'll put up on the screen something like this, and you'll say, that's pretty impressive what he sees. So he has a great vision, not only for the woods, but also he does lakes and seascapes and a little bit of black and white. But again, he, just like the other ones, he's got a great eye for light. All these photographers do. They all understand light and color. See the pastel kind of colors that come through there. Unfortunately, living in Florida, I don't get to experience colors like this unless I travel. Of course, I have the beach and the seascapes that other people don't have, so I'm not really complaining, but it's hard for me to find images like this particular one. Let's say, get the white over here, you got the dark over here, you've got the drama in the sky. Looks like it's probably a little bit of a long exposure, not much, maybe a couple of seconds to get a little bit of movement in those clouds. But yeah, OMalley's another one he's just a excellent photographer. OMalley Davies. The last photographer I'd like to talk about, who also has a YouTube channel, who fully admits he does videos now and again when he has the time. He has a gallery, so he stays pretty busy. He has a family as well that keeps him hopping. But his name is Stuart McKinnon, and he too works mostly in the Lake District in England. And you could go through his entire website and you'd be hard-pressed to find an image where you think is just average. I mean, everything he puts out is just quality work. I love his images. He seems like a very humble guy. I don't know him personally, but yeah, he's just an excellent photographer that I wanted to bring attention to show you some of his images. So if you get a chance, check out Stuart, either his website, or if you want to go take a look at his videos. And in fairness to Stuart, he's one of the reasons why I'm doing this particular video, because he and also Adam at First Man Photography, who I didn't show in this, but certainly could easily be one of the 10 that I'm showing here, they both love to promote other photographers. And I think that that's very important as a community, that we support each other. It's not a giant competition to see who's best. It should be about sharing your images and sharing your knowledge and sharing your appreciation for the art of photography. And Stuart and Adam at First Man Photography, and I'm sure there are plenty of others, they really understand this, and they really want to help other photographers get better and promote other photographers. So this is one of the reasons why I did this particular video. And I hope you enjoyed it. Possibly down the road I'll do my 10 favorite YouTube photographers, which would be different than the list I just gave you, even though Stuart could easily still be on that list, as could McAdam. There are just so many wonderful photographers on YouTube as well. But I wanted to go and promote a few that I found along the way that are and aren't on YouTube that you may not have heard of, because I think it's very important for other photographers to promote each other. On that note, I wish you well. If you are a photographer, good luck. I hope the light is with you. And until next time, take good care of yourselves.